Hey everybody, welcome to the official Goodman Games Twitch channel. This is Maw of Mike, and this is the show where everything's made up and the points don't matter. No, wait a minute, that's another show. No, this is the show where we get together once a month to talk to you about what's happening in the world of Dungeon Crawl Classics, what's happening and what's coming down the road, what's to look forward to, and just have some fun for an hour. Tonight we are going to be taking a look at that phenomenon which is known as ZineQuest. Because if you've had your ear to the pavement, if you've been watching the social tubes and all the rest of that stuff, you undoubtedly know that there is a lot of DCC related zines and adventures and stuff happening in this month, because it is February and this is when all the zines come out. So yeah, well, your Ma is here. So, you're actually, and considering one of the guests we have and one of the things we're going to be talking about, probably going to have you're going to have more than one maw. You might get a maw and a paw before we're done here tonight. That's all I've got to say. That's it. So this may be the show that said Maw of America. No, we're not going there. We're not going. No. This we may be the shortest month of the year, but obviously with ZineQuest going on and with a certain other adventure which is getting released this month and is already generating a great deal of buzz, we've got a lot to talk about this week at this show. So that is basically it. The other thing bears mentioning, if you've been watching the Goodman Games, social media, website and stuff, you've been noticing we've been making a lot of videos lately. And when I say we, I mean everybody but me. Basically, because of certain developments over the last month, we've seen a great influx of new people coming over to join the DCC band. If you're one of those people who are tuning in for the first time tonight, welcome. I will have a video coming up with doing a slightly more about that in the near future. But obviously, if you saw Joe Goodman's post about how D&D is the tide that lifts all ships and everything, and despite their miscalculations, we here are big fans of Dungeons and Dragons, and we hope that things progress. But nonetheless, I'm happy to have you all aboard. So welcome. Yes, DCC is like Magic Gathering, but with fewer cards. In fact, absolutely nothing like it. I've got three guests coming on tonight, and we're going to be talking with all of them in a bit. And in the meanwhile, you guys just hang out there for a moment, and we're gonna go back behind the screen, and we're gonna bring out our first guest, and then we're gonna talk to you a little bit more. So talk amongst yourselves. We'll be back in the few. Hey everybody, I am back, and joining me is Jeff Regner. I didn't confirm that, Jeff Regner. I'm saying your last name correct.
That's right. Yes, you got it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Usually I confirm that before we go live, but I didn't realize we didn't do that this time because I was confident. But so Jeff, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Maw of Mike, our February edition, and you are one of the people who is on because you are participating in ZineQuest. Is that correct? This month?
Well, sort of. Yes, I've got a Kickstarter coming out February 16th for a new adventure, O Death. And just excited to be kind of on this wave that's going on right now. It's a crowded field, but an excellent field, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, and happy to have you here. So why don't you give us kind of the overview about what O Death is about? As people are about to realize there's a reason why I had you on the show.
Yeah. Well, so O Death is a Shutter Mountains adventure. Mike, I know you know about the Shutter Mountains because you sort of wrote, well, you did write the book, The Chain Coffin, and we'll talk about inspirations in a second, but you'll get first billing on that. This is an adventure for second level characters. It takes place in the Shutter Mountains. It's a very typical sort of Silver John type of scenario where people come in from the outside, they meet the locals, there's a problem with the magic there, they solve the problem and they go away and the world is a little bit better. In this case, it's built around the old folk song "O Death," which many people will remember. There's a lot of great recordings. Most recently on "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" But I remember the one that Camper Van Beethoven did. I used to have that on a play mix back in the late 80s, early 90s. But and a little bit of spoilers here, but the first sort of opening scene, if you will, is Odeth, and the best part is the game judge. I'm not going to do it tonight, but gets to sing Odeth to the party in part of their role playing. But they hear that song coming over the trees. They go investigate. They come upon a cabin, and there is a local gentleman there singing the song. And desperately trying to keep his young bride alive. Directly opposite him is the Grim Reaper singing right back to him. And the two of them go back and forth, and at their feet is young Effie Burrow. She is all but dead, and she has within her the eagle spirit that came into her when she drank some moonshine, some witch liquor, if you know the lore, during the just before she died. And so the three of them, Ossie, the eagle spirit, and death itself, are in this three-way tug of war for this young girl's soul. And that sort of kicks off the whole adventure. The rest of it is the party unwinding that.
You know what? I can't count on one hand the number of times I've walked into. My weekend has begun with somebody passed out on the floor from drinking too much and a rap battle going on over them. That's That's just
It's pretty typical. Happens all the time, and it happens here too.
Yeah. So so when you kind of put this thing together, did you have any expectations of whether, because obviously with the Shutter Mountains, there's kind of two flavors you could do. You could have it kind of outsiders coming in, and then you could also have it as kind of like insiders, kind of dealing with outside forces. Was this? Did you have like a specific like reference in that, like style in mind, or was it kind of designed that could be done either way?
Well, no, it's well, the way I originally wrote it. I mean, this is DCC, right? So my party had just arrived at the Shutter Mountains on a interdimensional skull ship that they had picked up in Algol. So how you can get there any way you want. That's how they got there. They played Moon Eyes and Fireflies, which is in the Chain Coffin book, and had a great time. So we stayed there, and then they were on their way to other places after that. So I built it around sort of this, outsiders coming in. But as it evolved, it would probably suit, a full Shutter Mountains campaign, not just a drop in, sort of the way it was written, because it changed a lot during playtesting. I can tell you that. It was quite an evolution.
It's funny how they do that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And hopefully it's for the better. That's what you're always hoping to play testing,
Well, I think so. Probably the best play test was at GaryCon last year, and because I had written this thing and shelved it, thinking, okay, it's a one-off, I'll never see it again. I wanted to run something at GaryCon, so I grabbed that and did it. I had a great table. Daniel Bishop ended up at my table, and he picked the adventure apart, not like, but just as he played it. I saw the things that were wrong with it. He hung around afterwards, chatted me up a little bit about publishing with Goodman Games. He loves you guys, by the way. And so I took the adventure back home and tore it apart, rebuilt it from the ground up, and then it kind of went along, play tested it, Gen Con and some other places, and hopefully have it to where it's actually fun. I mean, it was a good time then. It'll be even better now. So
you just tell people it's going to be fun.
Yeah, believe me, it's going to be fun. You will have fun whether you like it or not.
Right. So you said you were going to mention some of the inspirations from it. Obviously Odeth was, that's obviously a key part, I'm assuming, of it. But was there other stuff at work here?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was, of course, a Manly Mike Curtis. I'll throw you out there, but also Manly Wade Wellman. Straight out of Appendix N, he was behind all of this, and it's the Silver John stories. Is so those elements. He comes in as the sort of the outsider. I mean, he's definitely a local, but he goes from village to village, and it seems like in each place he goes, he's the new guy. Coming in. The music was a very important part of it. It plays a big part in Wellman's work as well. And then, of course, what was going on in my mind was the folk song "Odeth," and I really wanted to try and find a way to bring that in, because I like the folk song goes back. It was originally subtitled a dialogue between death and the sinner. Right. And so I really wanted to not just capture the tune or the folksy aspect of it, but really get that interaction with the Grim Reaper standing there and being part of it, sort of make a person out of death.
Right.
Yeah, that's all, folks. But make a person out of death and have him an NPC that the game judge gets to play. I mean, and so that was sort of where it all came from. And then I guess the other inspiration, believe it or not, there is a shelter on the Appalachian Trail south of Shenandoah that I had in my mind when I placed the Burl cabin in the woods. And so when I think about, and as I was running at the table, thinking about that location, I know where the creek goes, I know the slope of the hill, and where that cabin was, and it's out there. So for me, that was an inspiration as well.
So once this is all published and everything, you have to go up there with a copy of the adventure and hide it in the hide it in the shelter.
Yeah, I'll put it under the floorboard. So if you're ever there and you're looking for a game, just pry up the floorboard. It'll be right there. But between the rats and the snakes, it'll be right there.
That a Crown Royal bag full of funky dice. There you go. Yeah. So it kind of sounds like this is doesn't sound like your standard dungeon crawl. So it sounds like this is a very, I might be wrong, but from what you said, it seems like it's a very like one location situation, or do they spread out from there?
Oh no, very much. It is a dungeon crawl. So they start at the cabin, and then to unwind this problem that they have, it takes them beneath the Shutter Mountains, and they go back more or less back into 10,000 years of history, or however long the Ice Age was ago, to deal with what's remains of an incident that happened way back then that sort of resulted in that moment in the cabin thousands of years later. So there's rooms to explore, stone passages to crawl through, all the stuff you'd expect, puzzles to unpack, the whole thing, unique monsters, everything you expect from DCC. All the lessons I learned during play tests, yeah, they're in there now. So there's definitely a dungeon crawl aspect to it.
All right, good. That's it's interesting. One of the things about writing stuff for the Shutter Mountains, and this kind of goes for everything to one level, but specifically for Shutter Mountain Adventures, it's amazing, and it's probably the source material, Manly Wade Mellon, as you're talking the Silver John stories. It's him wandering about and wandering into various situations where it's just like the Shutter Mountain stuff is just like, you can literally just walk into something and then it's like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. You don't have to have that elaborate plot where like the mayor is like, going to hire you to go do this or anything. It's like, no, we just took a left turn and we just ended up wandering in this situation now. And so
one of my favorite ones is when he gets to the top of them. I can't remember which mountain it was, but they look in the pool of water and they see the bubble. And all of a sudden, there's a creature now coming from another dimension that takes on human form and causes a raft of trouble up there. And I do like that. Although it's very Appalachian, there's no question where it comes from. It could be anywhere. He brings in all these different influences, into his writing. But it was kind of fascinating too. And now I'm going to interview you a little bit about the design decisions you made putting the chain coffin together, because when I look at the Silver John stories, there are things in there like he takes the silver quarter and summons the ghost of George Washington, right? So things that are very American and references to Salem and Georgia and Arkansas in the stories that you have sort of taken, I wouldn't say taken out of there, because you feel like you're in Arkansas sometimes walking around the Ozarks, but that you refocused it to be more of a generic is an unfair word, but more of a universal type of adventure in the woods. How did you come to that point?
I don't know if it was a conscious decision to the point. I think it was more the fact is that I didn't want to try to write something that was set in fantasy Arkansas, not being from Arkansas, not being from real life Arkansas, because I think that there would have been a certain obvious level of insincerity, and that's noticeable. So basically what I just did is that I said, I did a lot of research, and I said, I'm going to, present this region, and I'm just going to treat the people there as if they were real people. Because, I did not lead in any stereotypes or anything like that. And, so I think a lot of that has to do with the fact of that, of just being very respectful and not trying to do that deep dive, because I think um, I say this a lot about when I was did this stuff for Lankmar when I was working on
Yeah.
people ask me a lot of questions like I don't know Lankmar, I don't know like Lankmar well enough to run it, and I said no, you do know Lankmar well enough. Lankmar is whatever city you are most familiar with, and I think to a lesser extent the Shutter Mountains is as well. It's like it's however you picture the Appalachians, whether you know that from like firsthand experience or or from various media exposure or something like that, or for me, being from the New York area, the Appalachians to me is the Catskill region, so that's kind of so I pull in a lot of that. So I think it's like everything. If you if you provide just enough details, everybody else will come in and they will decorate the rest of the place, knowing they will, and then I think that just worked well. So,
Yeah, well, the Appalachian Trail, right? It runs from Springer Mountain down in Georgia all the way up to Katahdin, Maine. So I think you might actually be from the Appalachian Mountains there in New York.
yeah, technically, I can get there,
Yeah.
but I think there will be. I think people might have some disagreement of like with the difference between the Appalachian Trail and what Appalachia is, so it's
Well, that's absolutely true, and you get a sense of that even because when I read when I read Wellman years ago, I was and I didn't read all of them. We picked through some of the stories. I was living down in Blacksburg at the time, and I read it with a Virginia accent in my mind. I went back when I was rebuilding Odeth to an audiobooks recording, and it was with the North Carolina accent. I was like, that's a completely different place. So yeah, I know what you're
right.
saying, but I think Josh, universally people are people, and you put them in the location, it works pretty well.
So what is your favorite thing about the adventure? That if you can reveal anything without like spoiling it too much for.
Yeah, well, what I really like about it is during the play testing, it came out a different way every single time. So you've got this three-way tug of war. It didn't come out different every time, but it came out a couple different ways over the play tests. And so in the tug of war, we'll say different factions won without breaking it down too much. But I think every time the players walked away thinking they won the game, that they got
Okay.
the result they were looking for, and I like that about it. There's not a good and evil in this scenario. There are just different, you know, actors trying to get a different resolution. And so the players that I ran, and Gen Con opened my eyes a lot, the really good playtest group there, to how this thing could come out. And so that was sort of the pleasant surprise at the end of the whole thing.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Well, I'm very happy. I'm very happy you've done this. As John David Speaks says in the chat, is that we need more Shutter Mountain adventures, and I'm totally behind that. I am a big fan of people writing Shutter Mountain adventures that are not me. I mean, I know. I mean, I don't mean that just because I don't want to do the workload. It's just, my name gets associated with the Shutter Mountain so much, and I'm just like, I didn't kind of make this, like this was just me distilling stuff that was already there. I have no ownership of this. So, by all means, please, people,
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I disagree with it because I do think your name will always be associated with. But when I will tell you, when I announced on DCC Rock's Facebook group that I was doing this, the whole thing lit up like none of those people really know me. I mean, I know a bunch of people on there, but the comment section lit up like a Christmas tree. They love the Shutter Mountains. So, it's definitely a really neat place to be. I liked adventuring in it and really enjoyed writing for it too.
All right, well, good. Well, I hope the Kickstarter is very successful for you. I hope when the adventure comes out, it is people love it, and if it goes really well, I hope maybe this is the start of something for you. Maybe you've got another one behind, waiting in the wings after this. So.
Well, I hope so. I think this will be successful, but like I said, it's been a lot of fun. Can I give a real quick shout out to my artists and stuff?
Oh yeah, by all means, please.
Yeah, the cover art is Rebecca Lefkowitz. She's an artist up in the Appalachian Mountains near Pittsburgh. And I saw her art on a couple of album covers. And I said, I need that on the cover of my book. And so that's what we've got there. Brendan Williams, a local game judge, and animator, professional, did the cartography and the interior art. And so I want to give a shout out to him and to my editor, Aaron Cahall, who's done a lot of professional work and did some for me as well. So,
All right. Excellent. And remind the viewing audience when the Kickstarter goes live.
Happy to do it. February 16th. You can go to the website. There's like a preview page. I'm new to all this stuff. New to Kickstarter. You can go there and like click a button, and it will remind you. So like when you wake up that morning to come back and back the Kickstarter, and so do that, and so you won't miss out on anything at all.
And Elena, thank you for posting the link in the chat. So yeah, so as I said, best of luck to you, Jeff, and thank you for coming on the show. And keep working at it. Keep expanding the Shutter Mountains. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to everybody.
All right. Okay, we'll be back in just a few with my next guest. So stick around, everybody. Hey everybody, I am back with some more about what's happening in February with ZineQuest. And my next guest is Matt Thompson. Matt, thank you very much for coming on the show. And I'm very excited for you to be here because I got a sneak peek of this before the word spread. So why don't you tell the people why you are here tonight and what you are currently what your current project is?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So my current project is Critical Hit Parader. So this is a new zine. It launched today, this afternoon, on Kickstarter, and it is tabletop role-playing game content, but done in the, I guess, spirit and style of vintage rock magazines from the 70s and 80s, like Cream, like Circus, like Hit Parader, as you can tell from the name. And so for this first issue of Critical Hit Parader, there's an adventure called Workshop of the Telescopes, which is a Blue Oyster Cult themed adventure. Mike's got the right shirt on for this. There is also a new patron for the Magna of Illusion, which is another Blue Oyster Cult themed patron, so kind of a fully fleshed out black mirror that seeks to alter history for those who know their Imagino story.
I might have gone with Mistress of the Salmon Salt, but Magna of Illusion is also a good choice.
It's a deep well of
very much so,
opportunities for adventures. And then there's other content that's not gaming content per se, but related to the intersection of role-playing games and music. So there's a profile of the fantastic Loot the Body band, near and dear to all us DCC fans, and that's done in the style of, for those folks who are familiar with Cream magazine, they have the Cream profiles, the Boy Howdy type of thing, and so that's done in that style. And then there's an article on the intersection of role-playing games and music.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, that's one of the reasons, because this is really like a zine. Like this is like this is like and not like the gaming sort of zine. This is literally something that reminds you like somebody would have cranked out of out of a photocopier and taken down to the print shop, because it just has all these kind of eclectic ideas into one cover. So so I think it's an awesome idea. It's got a great name too.
Oh yeah, thank you. Within there as well, so it's leaving no blank spaces. There's some satirical fake ads that are in the style of. It's really like a combination in some ways of like Dragon magazine and like Cream magazine or something like that. And so there's some things that parody both, like, I guess, old gaming magazine ads you might see. There's definitely old rock magazine things you might see, and even I guess would be sort of comic book type ads. So really tried to capture the spirit of those magazines.
So what was the inspiration for this? Like where how did we get to Critical Hit Parader? It's like most people are like, okay, well, I'm just gonna put some monsters together, or write an adventure. You were just like, no, we're gonna do like a rock mag meets DCC scene. So.
Yeah, so the rock music and role-playing games have always gone together for me. I got turned on to both almost at the same time. So in 1979, I played Dungeons and Dragons for the first time. And that same year, I started listening to music, thanks to friends' older brothers, that was different than what was just on AM radio at the time. So started to get into, hard rock music, progressive rock music, kind of what's now classic rock, and then into punk and heavy metal and all sorts of genres. And so it's always played a part of sort of my gaming life. I played in bands in my 20s. And to me, like being in a band, creating music, writing music, recording music is sort of like being a judge, a game master, in terms of the obsessive approach you need to take and how time consuming it is, and just kind of scratches the same creative itches, but also love consuming music, going to concerts, going, buying albums, buying CDs, whatever. And that's like playing, right? And kind of immersing in the hobby that way through playing, going to cons and things like that. So they've always gone together. When we would go and say, hey, let's go roll up some characters, we'd go to songs to kind of set the mood. So in the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson was definitely a key jam to just set the mood.
We could have used you on Keep Crawling with Mike and Brendan last week. We did an entire show about the intersection of like role playing and music. So
and especially like in DCC, right? Like, so many, as I was meeting other folks who are playing the games, we'd always end up talking about music. So it just, for whatever reason, and I try to cover some of that in the article about why I think there is this commonality across them. But I find it's always I'm not surprised. And so part of the zine itself, that article, it's Appendix LP. And so where Appendix N was Gary Gygax's literary influences, these are sort of my influences, or kind of what I think some of the key bands that have commonly influenced the gaming world. But to me, like, everyone can have their own Appendix LP, right? It's just whatever music that you listen to that sort of either inspires you, you listen to the lyrics, it gives you an idea for an adventure or a character, right? That's all good. And so that's kind of, I guess, my mission statement for this thing was for all of us to just kind of enjoy having our own Appendix LPs. I have a love-hate relationship with a lot of the magazines that I'm kind of basing this off of, because they're critics in there. And I loved Cream magazine because they would cover bands that other magazines wouldn't cover. It was funny, and I loved it when it was making fun of things that I wanted to see make fun of, and then they'd make fun of my band, right? And
right.
Oh, that hurt, right? And so there's kind of, that's the one thing that's not there. It's all music for all people, right? And not every music's for every person, but there's something for everybody. And I think looking to musical sources to inspire your gaming is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Tim L. White has a question. He says, Matt, are you providing audio that goes along with the zine? or is that a little bit too much for your first foray?
So for the adventures itself, no, because really there is the source material. So right, the soundtrack to Workshop of the Telescopes has already been created. We had Blue Oyster Cult do that for you, so you have lots of albums to listen to there. Like Loot the Body, definitely have always had RPG inspired musical things. So who knows what will come in the future.
Okay, all right. So the audio segment of the zine is provided by Loot the Body. So which you can get the Goodman Games website, the flexi disc. Which if you watched Keep Crawling with, there we go. If you watched Keep Crawling with Mike and Brendan last week, your homework was to go buy a copy of that. So
definitely do it. Loot the Body's phenomenal.
Oh, well, Marcio's good. How about some tabs? How about some tabs in the zine?
Oh, yes.
I think Matt likes that idea, Marcio.
That's really good, right? So, guitar for the practicing musician. So we've got tabs for the time constrained judge.
So, all right. So Brendan and I had this discussion. It's like, all right, what is your role playing album? like the one, it doesn't necessarily, it could be the one that is evocative, or just the one that as you're saying, you started really getting into music and role playing in 79. Like, is there an album from 79 that you just associate with role playing or something? Or
yeah, I mean, it's really so into the next year. So and with the Blue Oyster Cult theme. So in 1980, Blue Oyster Cult released Cultosaurus Erectus, which had Black Blade on it, and that's a Michael Moorcock collaboration with the band. It's a Michael Moorcock lyric. It's about Elric and Stormbringer. And that blew my mind when it came out. I couldn't believe someone had made music about that. So I'm playing fantasy RPGs, I'm reading those books all the time, right? And then someone made a song of it, and I could not believe it. So to me, that's sort of the ultimate one. I think Michael Moorcock is probably the patron saint of Critical Hit Parader. The crossovers he's done.
And he is, I mean, he is the Blue Oyster Cult by, well, I think Blue Oyster Cult and like Hawkwind are
Hawkwind.
like they're the bands that actually collaborated with an appendix and author. It's like
How cool
the
is that?
Grateful Dead didn't do anything with Robert E. Howard. I'm sorry, it just didn't work.
Frank Frazetta unknowingly collaborated with Molly Hatchet, right? So
Yeah, well,
he's on the album cover.
but we're talking about writers here,
Yeah.
So, oh man, yeah, so this, so this is exciting. I really can't wait for this one to come out because there's so much good stuff. I mean, I want to say I can't wait to see what you do with Magna Illusion, because as you hinted at, and if any Blue Oyster Cult fan knows, that's a complex album with a complex history, and there's still some debate whether the songs are actually in order or not.
Yeah, they're not. I've done a lot of research in that area. I'm a panelist on the Contrarians music show with Martin Popoff, who's written a bunch of
I was going to ask you, it's like, did
Blue
you
Oyster
get this
Cult.
book?
Yeah, Blue Oyster Cult book. So he and I, we've been corresponding since the early '90s, and so
Okay.
we've done some deep dives on this. And so I would say if you are a fan like Mike of Blue Oyster Cult, there are references here for you.
Oh, good.
You can definitely play the game of trying to spot all the things, and it's a lot deeper than more cowbell.
All right, good. I'm saying Albert Bouchard lives 7 minutes away from me. Like, I know he lives on the street my mom grew up on. So,
Nice.
All right. So obviously with the first issue, there's a lot of Blue Oyster Cult, influence here. Do you have plans for down the line, like maybe like who maybe you want to focus on in issue 2, or is it just kind of
Yeah,
right now we're keeping our fingers crossed there is going to be an issue 2, or yeah.
I'll keep doing it for myself. So I had already 3 Blue Oyster Cult themed things, and I had to pick among them to which one to flesh out so that other people could use it in the zine. So I've got a Lankmar adventure. I've got an Imaginos alternate history little crawl thing I've been working on. So there's plenty of content there. Rush would be a band that it's just kind of, I mean, the Caress of Steel album, it kind of writes itself. There's so much good stuff for that really throughout their career as well.
Brendan and I were talking like nobody has written the adventure that goes along with Rush's The Necromancer yet.
Yeah, again, it's right there for the taking. I've had a few people reach out to me who are heard about the project and are kind of interested in writing things. So to me, I would just want it to be done by fellow fanatics or fanatics of the band that you're being inspired by. So people who just can do it really well and not have sort of the just superficial references, that they can go deep on it and do it justice, so that fans of that band will feel like it was done with the care that it deserves. There are other bands that I could do to that level. There's some bands I like that I couldn't do to that level, and I would need to collaborate to do it the way that I would want to.
Okay, all right. Well, I understand. I'm gonna drop something on you. You may or may not know this, but there is actually a Cthulhu Live, the live action Cthulhu role playing game scenario, which is based on Imaginos.
So I've never seen that. Someone told me that.
I think I still have a copy of it somewhere. Let me see if I can dig it up. I'll send it to you.
I would love to see it. Thank you. I would love to see it.
All right, man. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Matt, and talking to you about Critical Hit Parader, which is now live. That is correct. It is just
it's live. It's on Kickstarter. Even if you're not interested, I would love it if you just checked out the video. For folks in the DCC world, there's some kind of, I think, fun things you'll see in there. Some things you probably own yourself, making cameos. So I would love it if you just check it out.
All right, yeah. So please go there and throw some money at Critical Hit Parader. So Volume 1, issue number 1. So this is something the DCC community needs. So all right. So Matt, thank you very much for coming on. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back with my third guest, who is probably very familiar to you. So all right. Hey, everybody. I am back with my fellow dweller down in the basement, Mr. Brendan LaSalle. So
Hey, everybody.
we were completely confused about what show we were doing this
I know.
So, it's like keep crawling, but there's more people on it, It's,
If it's Monday, it must be Mike Curtis. That's how I look at it.
So yes, it's weird. Uncle Brendan, he is live in the studio, as close as we get.
Hi, everybody.
And actually, there's been an entire musical through, leitmotif going on through this entire show so far.
It's so cool.
I think we're not going to escape it. I think we'll be talking a little bit about music before this is over.
Yes.
But the reason, Brendan, you're on the show is to talk about a little something you wrote, which is dropping this month. It's already up for pre-order. I know people are already receiving it. And Brendan, what is that?
I couldn't be prouder. Coming to you soon. It's Goodman Games' second ever Valentine's Day release. The third level DCC rules adventure, The Love Mutants of Castle Heartache.
So you can't. There's nothing that says romance in DCC like Love Mutants. There we go.
Yeah.
So
it's true. It's true.
So Brendan, I know the answer to this, but the people at home do not. So tell us how this adventure came to be.
Well, so the first ever Valentine's Day adventure that Goodman did, Love in the Age of Gong Farmers by Steve Newton, it was a great big hit. It was really popular and a lot of fun. And they asked if I would go ahead and do the next one, and I was like, I'm so excited, I absolutely will. So I really read Love in the Age of Gong Farmers very carefully, and like Steve Newton had literally covered all of the good Valentine's Day tropes. He didn't miss a thing, and I was like, what the heck am I going to do? And I just spent some time just thinking like, what's the next stage to this? And I finally realized, was Valentine's Day like for me before I got married? Actually, before I met my wife, which meant heartache, tears, and spending a lot of money on someone under societal pressure. So I thought that. Yes, and it is so yes, Love Mutants is based on a true story. It absolutely is. So it's it really I kind of pitched the idea and got the thumbs up, and then immediately had the idea for the cover, and immediately reached out to Harley Stroh, the amazing Harley Stroh, and I was like, Harley, I would really like to put you on the front cover of a thing, an illustration of you in the arms of a slime monster. How do you feel about this? And Harley responded to me like with an enthusiastic yes in like minutes. It was just like, so, we've talked about this off camera, but like so many elements had to come together to make this adventure happen. And it's just a very weird thing. You've read it, Mike. It's weird. It's a very strange.
Yeah. What we were saying about this is either going to be the best Valentine's Day adventure we ever put out, or the last, or maybe both.
No two ways about it.
So I mean, it was really, I mean, there wouldn't be an adventure without Brendan. But actually, a lot of mad props to Steve Newton. For Stephen Newton,
oh my God.
Because I gave him first shot at writing this one, and I said to him, you know what? I think most people only have one Valentine's Day adventure in them, and he said, "You are right." That's it. Probably the same reason that Brendan was saying, it's like I've used everything. It's like I don't know where to go. So
yeah.
So then I said, all right. So who else could do a great Valentine's Day? And of course, Brendan was my second pick. I gave Stephen first right of refusal, but then I went straight to Brendan, and Brendan did not disappoint. So Brendan, so aside from the fact that people know that it's about Love Mutants and Castle Heartache, could you give us kind of like the elevator pitch, or the thousand foot view of what Love Mutants and Castle Heartache is about?
I absolutely will. So Olive, who is the ungod of romantic love, he's a god of like getting together and breaking up. He loves it all equally. He falls for someone very much emotionally unavailable in extreme, and when his suit is rejected, he is so crestfallen, so heartbroken that he takes to his giant supernatural hot tub. He rips his soul out and he throws it out into the dungeons of his new realm, which now becomes Castle Heartache, the nexus of all that is heartbreaking and sad. And the adventurers are going to have to, in order to put the universe right, because when he does this, it breaks up every couple in the multiverse. Everybody who's ever been in love falls out of love. They hate each other. They love each other at the same time. They can't be together. And the world is all falling apart. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the comments. Y'all are killing me. But you have to find basically go to his realm and perform these tasks in order to get him back on his feet, in order to put all of the back together, which will then, hopefully, fix the world's love problem and allow for sentient beings to continue to reproduce and exist in the universe. So
this is the DCC version of of that friend who's been horribly dumped and just want to sit in the room, and you're like, come on, man, let's go out, let's go see a movie, let's go out.
Mhm.
No, I don't want.
Yep. And I don't know about you, but I've been there. I know some of y'all watching have been there. So this is about that. This is really about that. There comes a point when you really get hurt romantically, where you just start to wallow in it, where you're just like, you're splashing the misery up on yourself, and you're like, just give it to me all day, And
Henry Rollins has a great bit in one of his spoken word acts where he's talking about making a cape out of a towel, and just like getting it with a pencil as a microphone and singing Ronnie James Dio, because Ronnie James Dio, every Ronnie James Dio album has 1, 2, 3 Evil Woman Look Out Tonight songs on it. So writing poetry on black construction paper with black.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to, and that's been me on a couple of occasions. And so I've had a lot of bad Valentine's Day where either I was in some version of that, or I was just alone, and the world made me feel extra lonely because everywhere you look is hearts and couples making out on TV, and you're just like, I'll never get it back. It's over. So this was sort of like my kind of poured all of that pain of my youth into this one adventure, and it's got a lot of symbols. If you read it, the monsters are it. I will say this: I'm very proud that the first draft I sent off, and Mike was like, "Well, this is too weird to be a regular Dungeon Crawl Classics adventure," and I was like, "I've done it." Couldn't have been more excited about that. Y'all are killing me in the comments. This is so funny. It really is strange, and one of the reasons it's so strange is that all the monsters are actually just metaphors for different kinds of pain and situations that you'll come to when you really are brooked up, and you're just you're just on the rocks and you can't see your way off the rocks. And so a lot of those creatures are sort of like they're internal symbols of the horrific things that love can put you through when you're on the wrong end of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it certainly is there. You know what? If you're not in therapy, yeah, I think I think you should go in therapy just to show your therapist this adventure, and just just because I want to hear what they make of this.
I just see them going through like a stamp that says rejected, just like no, oh no.
So Brandon, what does the cat person tending bar mean to you? Like what is that?
You got to play it and see. You got to play it and find out. So.
All right, so obviously there's a lot to love about this. And this is a very personal adventure. Is there what's your favorite thing about it that that you feel like you can share? Is it
that I can share?
Very cathartic.
I mean, I squeezed in a sad clown singing opera. I felt really good about that. You know what I mean? Like that's not an everyday thing that you come up on the dungeon, but it's no. I think that the castle itself has a real feel. I feel like it's all about the love mutants, but don't forget Castle Heartache and the castle itself. You're sort of like venturing through the catacombs beneath this castle he's created for himself. He only lets himself go to the catacombs because he no longer feels worthy even of the upper levels of that. He's down in the depths, and I feel like the setting itself has a real kind of a feel to it that is very unique. It's very strange. It's kind of like I said, the kind of a beautiful melancholy,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very fond of that. I'm very fond of some of the crazy encounters and some of the weird monsters. I think it has maybe the wickedest puzzle I've ever come up with. every year, I read everything Terry Olson's ever done very carefully and try to like come up with a new thing that'll, make players think. So, thank you. Anyway, I don't know, I'm awfully fond of it, and I'm like, if the response that it's gotten so far means anything, this is probably what they'll, like when I die, this is what they'll mention, listen, author of Love Mutants and Castle Heartache. Like this will be the thing that people remember. So
Right. I mean, this was interesting because this was like from the beginning there was a clear idea of like what this adventure was going to look like just physically. I mean, as you said, you reach out to Harley and say like we want to do like a Harlequin, bodice ripper cover on it. Harley, like Harley, will you be like, I think it was originally we were talking about a Harley Quinn romance. I mean,
that was going to be
so
I wanted that on the cover.
But then when we were looking at it, we were like, okay, we have to do this. We have to do this. So like the cover is very different than for your standard DCC adventure because we were looking at a lot of like like romance novels. So of course then you have to have your back cover of any sort of romance novel too, where you have the synopsis about what it is, and then of course you have your author's photo, everything, and luckily we have this tucked away somewhere. So Elena, could you please bring up the author's photo of
Yep, my first ever author photo. Can't wait to show my mom.
Yeah, this is, and the funny thing about this wasn't staged. This came up entirely organically.
Just a casual Wednesday around the casa. So
Thank you, the Madonna Inn in scenic Central California. So, yeah.
Yep. San Luis Obispo. Yeah, that was something.
So we just happen to have this around, and obviously this was, like as we said, this was kind of a perfect storm of design. To the point where after this went to print, the printer actually asked if they could contribute, if they could submit this to a print design award contest of some sort.
I'm here to say the real hero, Stephen Pogue. Stephen Pogue is the real hero of this adventure.
So take that, Ennies. Well,
you can keep it. You'll never have the streets.
Yeah, Stefan, and also Matt Hildebrand, our art director.
Absolutely.
It deserves a lot of accolades. As you're saying, there was a lot of elements.
And the interior artist too. I really submitted some very strange monster art. I think Brad McDevitt's creepiest creature is in there. I can't remember who did the Bleak Champion with I can't remember who that artist was, but I emailed them. Oh, I should have written that down before the thing. I still haven't gotten a copy of it yet. So, but I'm really happy with the interior art. I'm really happy with the layout, the design. It was just like, it's an image.
It is a beautiful adventure here, and I don't think this has been publicized, but if you get a copy of this, it comes with Valentine's Day cards.
Yeah,
you can give away to your judge and to your we have one of them is available printed one. Yes, that is foil. That is
so much foil.
That is one of the reasons this was being submitted for Design Alert. But it does come with a series of Valentine's Day cards. I mean this adventure has everything. I'm just going so. So as I said, the reception of this was really well. People they saw that cover and they were just like, this is only something that Bob the Magician, Bob the Magic Cone, or it's that Magicone. The interior cover is those are color ones, but the adventure itself is black and white. It's a whole printing. It's easy. We're already printing the color cover. They just turn it around and run it through the thing one more time. So this is. I mean, people are saying this is only something that Goodman Games would come out with, and I'm very happy about that. I'm very proud of that. That's what people are associating with us, and you should be proud of that too, Brent.
I really am. I really feel like, and I'm proud that I work for a publisher that lets me really turn the weird way up, and not only not only like allows me to be as to really express myself and really be as strange as I want to be, really encourages it. You know, it's an absolute blessing to work with a creative team like we have. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. That's it. So far, Joe hasn't said no to anything so far. You know what I mean? So, all right. So here's a question. Having done Love Mutants and Castle Heartache, do you think there's another Valentine's Day adventure to you, or do you think we're gonna is this gonna be we pass the baton every year?
You know, I feel like I would love to pass the baton, but let's just say we went through everybody and everyone was like, no, I couldn't do it. I'd love another. I don't think I could revisit Castle Heartache. I feel like I want it to just exist as it is. But one of the things it does is this is going to allow for a lot of strange role play opportunities for your characters that really do. This could be the adventure where your character finds their soulmate, and I think that's really fun. And I love the idea of sort of expanding like a thing like that. So maybe I won't. Maybe another. Maybe I would do another Valentine's Day thing just for the opportunity to tell that kind of story again. But honestly, I'd love for someone to take a crack at it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see. I don't want to say it, but just.
So we can't leave the segment without talking about music because apparently that's the theme through tonight. So what we talked about this last week on Keep Crawling. There's a musical connection with this adventure when you're working on it, correct?
Yeah, there really is. So I listen to so many heartbreak songs. So when I was trying to, whenever I write a new project, I try to like figure out what the music's going to be, before I get to it. And it takes some fussing with, and I made this great big thing of all like Misty Blue and Only the Lonely. It was just this great, huge thing of heartbreak music, and nothing was getting the job done. I tried other stuff. I did metal. I did one of my favorite writing combinations which is nothing but Prince and Motorhead. I tried that, and even that, and that usually works. Bismarcky, thank you, the history prof. I feel you. I feel you. That's some heartbreak for your behind right there. You say he's just a friend. I know what you're talking about. And then finally, I wound up, and I don't know how I felt on it, but I wound up listening to one the side B of the Grateful Dead's Terrapin Station for 2 weeks straight, just on constant repeat, and just I think that the weirdness of that really informed Castle Heartache. The idea of this place that's just this, not of the world but about the world and a reflection of the world. I think that really sort of made it feel. Look at y'all coming with the hip hop love songs. Y'all yeah. Anyway, it was that was a big thing for me. That was that's I definitely that album side really informed the gloom of it and the otherworldliness of it, I think. So
yeah, Lord knows listening to the Grateful Dead for 2 weeks straight would make me depressed too. But
all right.
Side elbow though, Jerry.
I mean,
all right, man. Well, if you have not already pre-ordered Love Mutants of Castle Heartbreak, it is available for sale on the Goodman Games website. It is available through all your quality favorite local game stores. Check it out. And did you? No, you didn't run this online. That wasn't in the plan, right? I think
no.
DJ Foxy was running this online.
Yeah, Foxy's running it on. In fact, actually, let me give a shout out. He's running he at the end of February 10th through the 14th, he is running a thing on startplayinggames.com. It's going to be Learn to Love Dungeon Crawl Classics. It's going to be 4 nights of gaming for charity. He's going to run this adventure. A couple of other people, including Kevin the Lich, are going to run Love You to Castle Heartache for the adventure, and it's all to raise money for the Starlight Children's Foundation. So I hope if come as a player and show up and support, that'd be really, really cool. And what better way to spend your Valentine's Day than exploring the corridors of Castle Heartache again.
If you're doing this instead of being with your significant other on Valentine's Day, then you're getting the full effect. At least you will next year. That's it. So.
Yeah, don't do
all right.
That.
Well, Brendan, as always, it's always good hanging out with you. I will see you next week when we do the same bat time, same bat channel, different bat content. So if you don't get enough of Brendan and I, keep crawling with Mike and Brendan next week, Monday, 9 o'clock. But now we're going to go into that part of the show where it's the monthly wrap up. So stick around, and Brendan, thank you very much, and thank you for being who you are, so I don't have to be. All right.
Hey.
Okay, well, here we are. We are back, and it's time for the Maw of Mike monthly roundup, where we talk about kind of what's in the works, what's coming out, what's out there, and obviously, ZineQuest is the big thing right now. This month only. There are currently seven DCC related various zines and other stuff which are out there available right now, and I wish I could have had them all on, but even about 7 minutes each, we wouldn't have enough time for that. So just so obviously you've got the lowdown on Death and Critical Hit Parader. So please, by all means, check those out on Kickstarter, either the ones like that are live now or will be live later this month. We also have Judge Phil's Zine of Goodies Volume 3, and I trust, having seen Volume 1 and 2, if you're a fan of the Gong Farmers Armor Judge Phil's Zine of Goodies, it's it strikes that chord, so we're checking out. We have Chthonic Crawl number 2, Merchants and Monsters. So if you need some merchants and you need some monsters, this is your one-stop shop. That's we've got coming out. We also have Badass Bunnies, which is basically Bunnies and Burrows meets Mutant Crawl Classics. So that's two great tastes that go horribly together, but they're so horrible together they're delicious. So there you go. I'm sure if you're on Facebook, you have at least heard about Ziggurat of the Blood God, because the Ziggurat of the Blood is apparently burning through stretch goals as we speak. So that's definitely something worth checking out. Throw some money at. And also the other thing which has been showing up on my Facebook feed, Sky of Crimson Flame and Blights of Eastern Forest. The Sky of Crimson Flame, that's a kind of a reprint of the original adventure, which is out, but I believe Blights of Eastern Forest is new. We have another dual set adventure. We have Space Station M and Robo World, and you can't go wrong with Space Stations and Robo World. And thank you for dropping links in there as I'm kind of rolling through this. And last we also have Caves of Refuge, Mines of Mystery. So I don't know too much about that one, but definitely check it out. And that is just what we have on tap for third-party publishers for the ZineQuest in February. But some of those are live, some of those will be going live, but you can find them all on Kickstarter or on the various social media leading up to it. But what's coming out here from Goodman Games? Speaking of Kickstarters, I'm sure some of you have probably seen a little thing for something called Dungeon Denizens, which has long been threatened to you, and is now finally coming to fruition. So later on this month, probably around we'll say around the 21st or so, we are going to be having the Dungeon Denizens, the big book of 500 monsters for, depending on what flavor of role-playing game you like, whether you like 5e or whether you like Dungeon Crawl Classics. This is going to be a book. People have been clamoring for a kind of a DCC monster manual. Hopefully this will tide them over. I still think the best monsters are the things you make up at home, but if you're not comfortable doing that, there are 500 monsters to play around with. So this is going to be good. Yes, it is really happening. It is happening this month. I know, because I've been in so many damn meetings about this book. So yes, I can guarantee it's going to happen. so that will be coming out this month. Please, by all means, if you're looking for monsters with some incredible, I saw some more sketches of like some of the monsters on this thing, and I'm like, these monsters are funky. and as somebody who's come up with funky monsters, I'm just like, one of those senses, the stuff I come up with in my head, put that in the hands of an artist, and they will shock you every time with what they come up with. So yes. So that will be coming out later this month. For those of you who back Crypt of the Devilish on Kickstarter, most of you have probably gotten those already. Those have been going out, which means that probably right after Valentine's Day, this will be open for, if you didn't back it on Kickstarter, you'll be able to get your hands on a copy of it. And if you did back it on Kickstarter, you Fiend Folio Funky and then some, let me tell you. But Crypt of the Devilish, if you did back it and you've been wondering like, hey, where do I get my PDF? Probably once this is after Valentine's Day, it will also be available on drive-thru, so you can redeem your promo code and get your PDF copy of it. So, all right. And of course the other thing, talking about big Kickstarters, DCC Dying Earth still on track to fulfill the end of this month and start of March. So if you've been waiting, and like I have, like a lot of people have for Dying Earth, it should soon be leaving the warehouse and getting in your grubby little hands. Within the next next few weeks, depending on where you are located. So a lot of stuff being delivered. We're very happy where things are going, and of course, with every Kickstarter that we get out there, that means we're one Kickstarter too closer to some of the other stuff I promised, like say X-Crawl, which is on the docket coming up. Reprint of the Purple Planet also coming up. So I'm not going to give you any dates on this, but it's like I know I've hurt you before, so I don't want to hurt you again. But trust me, all the back end stuff is underway. So yeah. All right. Well, that wraps us up for February. For the month of February, it's going to be a great month, although it is short. So thank you very much. Mike, VTT tokens were coming for yes. The VTT tokens are coming, but we'll I don't know what exactly you're speaking of, but yes, they were. More shall be revealed in just a couple of weeks. So we're taking that into account. All right. Well, thank you very much for hanging around with me for another month. We will be back in the first month of March, which is my favorite Maw of Mike month, because it's March, the first Monday of March for the Maw of Mike month. There's a lot of M's, and we love alliteration here at Goodman Games. So thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure to hang out with you. Be safe. Enjoy your Valentine's Day, however you decide to celebrate it, whether that's with someone special or alone in Castle Heartbreak with me and the other love moons. All right. So, all right, everybody. Good night, everybody.